got 9 o'clock.
You got 7?
I got 9. Or 7.
Mine still says 6:59.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and calling to order the North Ridgeville City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. If you could all please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together once again this evening, and we ask for your guidance throughout our meeting. We thank you for all the blessings in our lives, and in a special way, we thank you for our friend Dennis Boos. We are grateful for Dennis's many contributions to this council and to our city, his positive outlook on life, his truly caring and welcoming demeanor, and his ability to work toward a shared goal. We thank you for the gift of his friendship, and we pray in your name, amen. I'd like to invite all those present to take a moment at this time in silent honor of our fellow councilman Dennis Boos. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank.
Here.
Avens.
Here.
Winkle.
Excused.
Awig.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Mr. Mayor. Here. Law Director.
Here.
Engineer. Finance Director.
Here.
Clerk of Council. Here.
Tonight, under the approval of minutes, we have City Council meeting minutes dated August 21st, 2023. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Please note that Council has also received the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting minutes dated August 24th, 2023, and the Civil Service Commission meeting minutes dated August 28th, 2023. In a moment, I will open the lobby session. As a reminder to those present this evening, the lobby session is not meant to be an interactive question and answer period in the interest of time, but it is an opportunity for the public to address both council as well as the city administration. Anybody wishing to speak this evening will be asked to speak from the podium, and we do ask that you begin by stating your name and address for the record, at which time you will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak regarding any matter pertaining to the business of City Council or the general affairs of the city of North Ridgeville. At this time, the lobby session is now open. I do have several written submissions, and I will take those in the order in which they were received. First is Greg Fanning. Mr. Fanning, if you could state your name and address, and then your 3 minutes will begin.
My name is Greg. My name is Greg Fanning. My address is 6025 Haven Crest Court. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Council. Today I rise to talk about our North Ridgeville Police Department and their selfless sacrifice to our city. North Ridgeville is a shining beacon of how law enforcement and our community can forge a harmonious and effective partnership, setting a precedent for our nation. In our current times, the level of trust in law enforcement has reached historically low levels, and this indeed is a disheartening reality. However, it is crucial that we address the issue with the utmost seriousness and commitment. In every profession, there may be individuals who fail to meet the high standards we expect. However, it is paramount that we recognize and applaud the exceptional dedication and service exhibited by the men and women of the North Ridgeville law enforcement. North Ridgeville proudly holds the distinction of being one of the safest cities in Ohio and the United States. This accolade has been confirmed by reputable sources such as Property Club, Spectrum News, Cleveland.com, and Cleveland 19. What sets North Ridgeville Police Department apart is its unwavering commitment to the principles of community policing. This isn't just a catchphrase, it's a profound philosophy that nurtures trust, collaboration, safety within our neighborhoods, and a philosophy that NRPD embodies wholeheartedly every day. Foremost among these virtues is the understanding of strong relationships from the foundation of effective community policing. They invest time in engaging with residents and attentively listening to their concerns. And it's not merely about enforcing the law, it's about becoming an integral part of the community. At the heart of North Ridgeville community policing lies proactive problem solving. The NRPD doesn't just wait for issues to escalate, instead they work hand on hand with our citizens to identify and address challenges before they grow into substantial problems. Their approach not only reduces crime, but also enhances the overall quality of life within our city. Furthermore, the North Ridgeville Police Department has prioritized transparency and accountability, ensuring that fair and equitable treatment is extended to all residents. This unwavering commitment to responsibly guaranteeing that bond of trust between police and our community remains unshakable. In conclusion, the North Ridgeville Police Department embodies the core tenets of community policing, which cultivate trust, collaboration closely with our residents, and actively engage in the proactive problem solving, and their commitment to transparency, education, and their integration of technology into their operation truly sets them apart. We must acknowledge that these officers put their lives on the line every day without regard for religion, race, political affiliation, gender, or any other factor. For this, we owe them a debt of gratitude that words alone can never fully express. To the dedicated officers of the North Ridgeville Police Department, thank you for your unwavering service and commitment to our community. And thank you for keeping us safe each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fanning. Next, I have Nancy Kubiak.
I'm Nancy Kubiak at 5725 Mills Creek Lane, North Ridgeville. I have a couple very disjointing comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the fire department because literally saved my life last December when they came to my house and I had broken my femur in 3 spots and was dying in my home. And I give my total gratitude to them for literally saving my life. And so I just wanted to make that on public record. Secondly, I'm the pool trustee for Mills Creek Pools, and we have 2 pools where we have a Mills Creek swim team. We are totally inclusive in the community. We have special ed kids, we have all different races, and we do include students from all of the North Ridgeville. And we are in the need of new blocks. I'm not asking you for the money, but I'm asking you for resources because they're the deal would be $25,000 for these blocks, and they are 52 years old, as old as swim team. So they've been repaired as much as possible. So if you could show me somewhere to go, I'm more than willing to write a grant and have done that many times as a teacher for North Ridgeville City Schools. Okay, my next thing really quickly is that obviously this is the main complaint. I am demanding that we get some clarification on the Chief Freeman's outcome. I think he should have been put on administrative leave. I don't understand why he wasn't. And truthfully, I'm asking every one of you on council, I don't care if you're Democrat, I don't care if you're Republican, you guys need to step up to the plate. And I know it was explained to me several times how this is working, but in my opinion, you guys need to step up to the plate and encourage and get the information that we as the residents need. I'm on the Mills Creek board, and it is a huge concern of Mills Creek right now, huge. We talk about it a lot. We cannot offer our clubhouse for that because it's against our rules, but it is not to be verbal, it is to be in paper. We need to have a conference about it. We need to have some kind of a meeting about it, and truthfully, Mayor, you need to do this. It is going to cost you your election. And that is how big of a deal it is. I don't know what's right or wrong. I'm not saying Chief is a bad guy. I don't know. All I know is what I've heard. The thing that concerns me is a member of his family was having a big party. It was in the Chronicle. She was a teacher. I called the board because when I was a teacher in North Ridgeville, we had moral codings. And to me, I called the superintendent, I called the police. Nothing was ever given to me of whatever happened. Do I want her career gone? Absolutely not. Do I want to badmouth her as a teacher? Absolutely not. I don't know her. She could be a very valuable teacher.
Mrs. Kubiak, pardon the interruption. Your 3 minutes has elapsed.
Okay, sorry. May
Mr.
I
President.
continue with one more thing?
Yes,
I will
Mr.
motion to
DeVries.
give it an additional 3 minutes.
Second.
Motion was made by DeVries and seconded by Awig to allow the speaker an additional 3 minutes.
Okay,
All
it
in
won't be-
favor,
it
say
won't be
yes.
that- It won't be that long.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. All right, Mrs.
I
Kubiak, please go
also-
ahead.
This is my last thing to say. I think the mayor is in conflict of interest. He has a lovely wife who teaches for the North Ridgeville City Schools. She's an excellent teacher. She was a colleague of mine, and I think that the input that he puts into the schools is a conflict of interest. I think that I know we have to work together, but it is a conflict of interest. My last thing is, how does this paperwork that I printed out, armbruster and this kind of stuff, the armbruster situation with this plaintiff with the Moore armbruster Riddle situation affect North Ridgeville? Did it start in North Ridgeville? I'm not a lawyer and I don't quite understand the paperwork. I've been going over it and over it to try to comprehend it. I don't. I would like to know if it's two separate issues or it originated in Ridgeville and it is corrupt in Ridgeville. If it's not my business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kubiak, for being here. Larry Nolan. Mr. Nolan, again, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
My address is, well, my business address that I put on there was 7900 Root Road, and my home is at 9016 Walnut Court, right off of the Plantation subdivision. Your Honor, the Mayor, City Council, Mr. Jacobs, my business is over by the railroad tracks at Root Road, and daily, I've been there for 18 years, and daily I see kids walking up and down the hill going over the railroad tracks. There's no sidewalks. They're little kids. They're not high school kids. They're like maybe 5th grade, 4th grade, younger, and it's a danger. I know you guys have probably heard this 1,000 times, but somebody's going to get hurt, and I wish they could do something. I talked to my landlord about the property that Root Road is rest on, which is the railroad property. Somehow they can put a wall, put a sidewalk next to the guardrail, just so the kids don't have to walk, next to the tracks like that. It's dangerous, and especially when the train stops and it lays there for 45 minutes to an hour, and there's no movement. It's just a dangerous spot. And actually, the whole road needs a sidewalk all the way through from Lorraine to Bainbridge. But I just want to bring it up. I see it. I don't know what to do. This is the first time I've ever been to, or second time I've been to a city council meeting, but first time I'm talking to you guys. But, I'm an idea guy. I mean, we can do something. I mean, there's got to be something. Because one incident, we're going to be in national news, and that's the last thing that you guys need, So that's it. So it's just a little, bring a point up, that's all.
All right, Mr. Nolan, thank you for being here and for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kersey?
My name is Shelley Kersey. I live at 37886 Stony Lake Drive in North Ridgeville. Once again, I'm here to ask questions. Sure, I know that absolutely no one will give me any answers. But since this is a public lobby session, I hope to inform some people who cannot make it to these meetings, but are able to watch them at home. So here we go again. I have been informed that the fire department now has lost 4 members due to resignations and transfers to other cities in the past 1.5 years, and a 5th is due to leave this month. That is on top of the 2 retirements earlier this year. This information is from a meeting minutes of August 16th as stated by the fire chief, Reese, who expressed concerns over employees leaving and not having enough recruits to replace them. Gee, I wonder why. Anyone on council have any ideas? Mayor? Again, dead silence. We also have the change recently added to the civil service rules. The rule of 3 was recently adopted, and out of the top 3 test scores, the appointed authority will make the decisions on who gets the appointments. Anyone want to guess who? I'll give it to you. It's the mayor. He's now the guy choosing who gets promoted. I wonder how much fire training he has. What about police training? Have you worked closely with any department to see how the candidates perform in emergency situations? Have you been there? Have you heard anything from their peers about how they would feel about them as a leader? Anyone can study for a test and do well. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are the best candidate for the position. We also have the issue that both departments are very opposed to such a change. It goes against their collective bargaining agreement, and everyone at that meeting was told that the two departments are prepared to file unfair labor practices suits. Speaking of lawsuits, we now have an employee suing the mayor and the city. Can we really afford this? After all, we have some pretty new signs to pay for. I can't wait for the lovely new signs to be placed right in front of the old Bob Morris car lot. Or how about our historic BP station on the corner of 83 and Center Ridge? The bottom line is this. If Freeman is not removed, our police department will no longer have enough people to cover our city. If the mayor goes through with the rule of three, we are also going to have an unfair labor suit to tend with. I see one answer and only one. It is far past time we get rid of the good old boy regime and make Ridgeville a safe place once again. By the way, I have one more thing. As an attorney, Mr. Corcoran should be very familiar with the Ohio Revised Code, Section 737.01. As a director of public safety, which states, in each city there shall be a Department of Public Safety, which shall be administered by a director of public safety. The director shall be appointed by the mayor and need not be a resident of the city at the time of his or her appointment, but shall become a resident within the 6 months after the appointment unless such residence requirements are waived by ordinance. Who is our Director of Public Safety? I'd like an answer. And any one of you has my phone number on my form, please feel free to call me. I'd love to know the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kersey. That is all the written submissions I have. Is there anybody else in attendance this evening who would like to address council? All right, seeing none, the lobby session is now closed. We will move on to administrators' reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have a resolution before you regarding Mr. Dennis Boos, and I will save any comments for that reading at the later time in the meeting. Under first readings, we have T91, which is a resolution adopting the Lorraine County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan. Going to ask for the emergency clause on that as the deadline is coming up that's been set by the Lorraine County Commissioners. Also, we have T93. I mentioned this at the last meeting. We have an ordinance to purchase 5 new police vehicles. We're spending essentially 24 money now to purchase those vehicles, and we won't receive them until 25. But as I mentioned the last time, vehicle purchases are extremely difficult these days. There are windows to purchase vehicles, and if you don't get them in the window that you have, then you don't get them at all. So we are going to ask for the emergency clause so we can buy those vehicles. And unfortunately, we won't be getting them for a little while. Then also, there's a couple others that we'll talk as we go on in the meeting. The service department is scheduled to begin milling and paving Elyria, Francis, Helen, and Thelma tomorrow. That also will depend on weather conditions or any other extenuating circumstances. They've done a great job so far this year, and they've worked on quite a few streets. The list of streets is on the city's website at nridgeville.org. We have our summer concert series. This is the third in the series of summer concerts. It's scheduled for Sunday, September 10th from 6 to 8 p.m., and it is Funkology. If you might remember, I did announce this weeks ago, but it was rained out, so this is the rescheduled event. They play everything from Motown to country to disco to classic rock, so pretty much everything. And the concerts are free. Pack a picnic, bring your chairs or blanket, and enjoy the concert. We have a health fair for older adults that's happening at the Senior Center on Monday, September 11th from 9 to 11 a.m. There'll be blood pressure, glucose, vision screenings, flu shots, stretching demonstrations, and a host of vendors on hand. And then there's always the ever popular Coffee and Conversation on Thursday, September 14th from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. here in council chambers. And it's always a good time, so please stop on by. That concludes my report.
There it goes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Before Council tonight is T90, a resolution authorizing the execution of then and now certificates by the fiscal officer. The expense outlined in Exhibit A was budgeted and approved by Council during our annual appropriation process. As outlined in Exhibit A, the street paving materials have been received by the city, and this invoice is now due. In an effort to ensure the vendor receives prompt payment, I'd like to ask Council to consider adopting this legislation with the emergency clause this evening. Also before Council is T94, an ordinance amending 2023 appropriations. In advance of this meeting, I sent a memorandum to Council explaining the necessity for each item included in the legislation. I'd like to ask Council to consider adopting this legislation with the emergency clause this evening to provide the departments the financial resources necessary to meet the city's obligations. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Finance Director. Please note that the Finance Director has provided Council with the July 2023 financial report, and Council is also in receipt of the August 2023 Building Division report. There are no Council committee reports, correspondence, old business, or new business on tonight's agenda. That brings us to recess.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries?
motion to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to dispense with recess this evening. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. Recess has been dispensed, and we will move right along to first readings. Up first, T90.
T90-2023, a resolution authorizing the execution of then and now certificates by the city fiscal officer and the payment of amounts due for various purchase orders.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries?
motion to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
The motion was made by DeVries and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T90. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries?
motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, motion to add the emergency clause so that we can pay our invoice in a timely manner as stated by the Director of Finance.
Second.
The motion was made by DeVries and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T90 in order to pay the city's financial obligation in a timely manner. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to adopt T90 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
The motion carries and becomes resolution number 1604-2023.
T91.
T91-2023, a resolution adopting the federally approved Lorraine County 2022 Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T91. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this
Mr. Mayor.
plan allows us to be eligible for federal funding in emergency-type situations. It's something that's been worked on for quite a while, and there is a deadline to approve this, and I'll be asking for the emergency.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions? So again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T91. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, say no. I'll make a motion to
Move
adopt.
Thanks.
Second.
And then I will make a motion to add the emergency clause as well in order to meet the deadline outlined by the Lorraine County Commissioners.
Second.
It was moved by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to T91 in order to meet the Lorraine County Commissioner deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by Jacobs and seconded by Swink to adopt T91 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries and become resolution number 1605-2023.
T92.
T92-2023, a resolution honoring Councilman Dennis J. Boos.
For T92, I move to read the resolution in its entirety.
I'll second that.
It was moved by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to read T92 in entirety. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. The motion carries. Clerk, if you could please read T92 in its entirety.
Absolutely. A resolution honoring Councilman Dennis J. Boos. Whereas the city of North Ridgeville lost a valued member and leader on August 23rd, 2023 with the death of Dennis J. Boos. And whereas Mr. Boos was a councilman at large from October 5th, 1998 to December 31st, 1999, and Ward 2 councilman from the year 2006 to 2023 for a total of 19 years. And whereas Mr. Boos was on the Parks and Recreation Committee from the year 1997 to 2005 and 2010 to 2023. And whereas Mr. Boos was on the Board of Drainage and Flood Control from the year 2010 to 2023. And whereas as an active resident of North Ridgeville, Mr. Boos was involved with many community organizations, such as being a board member and president of the former Junior Achievements of Lorain County, North Ridgeville Corn Festival, North Ridgeville Baseball and Softball Boosters, and the City Baseball and Softball Program. And whereas Mr. Boos was a 24-year member and former president of the North Ridgeville Rotary Club, where he received the Paul Harris Fellowship Award, the North Ridgeville Lions Club, where he received the Melvin Jones Fellowship Award, and was the co-chair of the Memorial Day Parade, and the 28th Annual Lions Club 5K Run. And whereas Mr. Boos was a tireless and outspoken advocate for the betterment of North Ridgeville, and whereas Mr. Boos's sense of humor, kindness, energy, integrity, and graciousness enriched those fortunate enough to have known and worked with him. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of North Ridgeville, Lorain County, Ohio, that Section 1, on behalf of its members, the North Ridgeville City Council recognizes the remarkable achievements of Dennis J. Boos and gracefully acknowledges his many contributions to the City of North Ridgeville, its residents, and to our City Council. Section 2, it is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were conducted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meeting open to the public in accordance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. And Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Thank you. I move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T92. I will open this up for discussion. I think it's safe to say that that Dennis touched a lot of lives during his time here in North Ridgeville and truly made North Ridgeville a better place as a result of that. I couldn't help but notice as I drove back and forth to work every day the sign at Extreme Performance last week for several days that referred to Dennis as a pillar of his community, and I think that's a great way to describe Dennis. He was honest. He loved to help others, and he led by example. I think this council, in its entirety, considered Dennis a true friend to the city of North Ridgeville and a true friend on a personal level as well, and he will certainly be missed. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend a heartfelt thank you to our police officers, our firefighters, our service department workers, and everybody else who came out the day of the funeral to stand along Center Ridge Road as Dennis's hearse drove by. For those of us who were in the procession, it was very moving to see all of you standing there. And I did have an opportunity to speak with a member of the family after the funeral, and I know from the family's perspective, they were very touched and appreciative of that gesture as well. So again, thank you to all the city employees for that kind expression of respect. Are there any additional comments or questions? Not questions, but comments at this time.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swink?
so when I was elected the first person I called was Dennis Boos. And he thought it was weird because I'm not a Democrat. And I said, I need your infinite wisdom. Like, what's your first, piece of advice you can give me? And he said exactly that. Be a tireless and outspoken advocate for the residents of North Ridgeville. And I said, you got it. And it's gonna be big chair to fill over here, whoever sits next to me.
Absolutely.
I miss him terribly. He's a great
Thank-
person.
Thank you, Mrs. Swink.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mrs. Abig.
Yeah, I just want to thank his wife Lisa and his family for sharing him with the city of North Ridgeville. He has done great things for the city to make it a better place to live, learn, work, play, and has done a great job. And I know from being on council myself how many hours it may take to do this job. And he did it well. He was always in attendance and always acted in a very professional manner. And so we appreciate you sharing him with us.
Thank you, Mrs. Awig. Are there any additional comments?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
I was
Reese.
fortunate to know Dennis on many different levels. Like, he was my neighbor down the street, and when I moved away, went to school, he still came down and used the snowblower in my mom's driveway. And I was just recently kidding with him that somebody bought mom's house, and they expect him to still come down there. I remember the first time we went there to sell Girl Scout cookies. My daughters were 7 and 5, and we lost my 5-year-old. And we found her upstairs in Dennis's bedroom playing with a box full of puppies. I was horrified because at the same time, Dennis was my boss at work. He was my boss for 12 years, and he was the best boss I ever had. So he was a true friend, someone you could always trust and get great advice from, and he will truly be missed. So thank you, as Georgia said, for sharing him with us.
Thank you, Mr. DeVries. Are there any additional comments?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens.
I would be remiss if I didn't say something. Sat next to Dennis for almost 8 years, and he was always helpful, although we didn't always agree, but he was always helpful, kindly. I respected his opinion as well as he respected mine. This council will sorely miss Dennis Boos, and so will I. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abens.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mayor.
I had the fortune to serve with Dennis for a long time, and I got to see him before I even started serving, and he was always an example to follow. And, it wasn't just his involvement on city council that was remarkable, but his commitment to the community. I did not live here when he was a soccer coach and baseball coach and those others. But the amount of time and effort that he put into the community through Rotary and Lions Club and those kinds of things, he was an extremely special person and dedicated his life to making the city a better place. And I think that for anybody, we should always hold him as the example to follow, not only, in our personal lives, as far as giving back to the community, but also, as a legislator, as a council person. And we will miss him terribly. I know that he was always a huge component of the finance committee, and that's where his contributions will be missed the most. I really enjoyed working with him for a long time. I hope that the outpouring of support that you received lets you know how much he was loved by the community. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any additional comments at this time? Okay. Again, just repeating the motion. The motion was made by Jacobson, seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T92. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. And then I will make a motion to adopt T92.
Second.
The motion was made by Jacobson, seconded by Abens to adopt T92. Are there any final comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Reese?
do we have to dispense a second and third?
We did.
We
did.
did.
That, yes.
Okay, I should
Yes.
make sure we did that before we adopt. Okay.
Yes, no, thank you for that. So the motion was made by Jacobs and seconded by Abens to adopt T92. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Abens,
Emphatic yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes Resolution 1606-2023.
We do have a copy of the resolution for the family too that I would like to give you after the council meeting if you, okay. T93.
T93-2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Ridgeville to purchase 5 new police vehicles and related equipment from the state bid list or co-op, or to advertise for bids and enter into a contract with an outside vendor according to law in a manner prescribed by law, not to exceed $250,000.
Mr. President, move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by DeVries to dispense with the second and third readings for T93. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause so that way we may purchase these vehicles while the window is open.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by DeVries to add the emergency clause to T93 for the reasons just stated by the mayor. On the emergency clause, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by DeVries to adopt T93 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. DeVries?
Just to let everybody know, the $250,000 you see here is appropriated. It's part of a program the city's been involved with, that every year we purchase 5 vehicles. And as the mayor stated early, we have to order them early, so by the time we get them, it's in a timely manner, because it takes a long time to purchase the vehicles and get them outfitted correctly. So when you see this expenditure, this is expected. We do this every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeVries. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6098-2023.
T94.
T94-2023, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6031-2022 of the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio, providing appropriations for the period commencing January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T94. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, motion to add the emergency for the reasons stated by the Department of Finance so that we can get, provide our departments with the proper funding in a timely manner.
Second.
The motion was made by DeVries and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T94 for the reasons stated earlier by the finance director. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by DeVries and seconded by Awig to adopt T94 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries and becomes ordinance number 6099-2023.
Under second readings, we have T84.
T84-2023, an ordinance creating a new chapter 867 massage establishments of the North Ridgeville Business Regulation and Taxation Code.
T85.
T85-2023, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5952-2022, providing additional parameters for the use of lateral hires to complement the safety forces and further defining lateral hire employment conditions.
Mr. President, move to dispense with the third reading.
Second. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Jacobs to dispense with this third reading for T85. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this is retroactive back to January 1st of this year. So I will be asking to adopt this, but without the emergency clause.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any additional comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. President, through the chair,
Mr. DeVries?
to the mayor. With it being retroactive back to January the 1st, will this impact any current employees on staff now?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Mrs. Swing?
Mr. President, if I can ask through the mayor, how many employees are laterally transferred that this will affect? Do you know offhand?
No, I do not. Do you? 4? 4?
Thank
Maybe?
you.
Don't hold me to that, though.
Are there any additional comments or questions? So again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by seconded by Jacob, sorry, I can't read my writing, to dispense with the third reading for T85. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to adopt T85. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
so this won't be going into effect until 30 days from today, correct?
Correct, but it's retroactive back to the first of the year, so,
So why not just do an emergency so it's effective now?
well, trying to judiciously use the emergency clause, and we don't have to in this case because it's retroactive.
Thank you.
But if you want to add the emergency clause, feel free.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
I move to add the emergency clause.
Second.
It was moved by Swank and seconded by DeVries to add the emergency clause to T85. Need a reason, Mrs. Swank?
Mr. President, I would say if it's affecting current employees on staff for the purpose of morale, let's get it done.
And to get them paid.
Very good. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to adopt T85 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries and becomes ordinance number 6100-2023.
There are no third readings this evening. As far as announcements, the next regular city council meeting will be held on Monday, September 18th, 2023, here in city council chambers. And the time for that meeting, as always, is 7 p.m. As a result of Mr. Boos's passing, we do have an open Ward 2 council seat at the moment. According to Charter Section 3.7, vacancies in council shall be filled for the unexpired term by an appointment made by a majority vote of all remaining members of council. Such appointment shall be made within 30 days after the next regular meeting following receipt of official notification of such vacancy. The Ward 2 seat term ends on December 31st, 2023. Interested parties who must be a resident of Ward 2 in the city of North Ridgeville and a registered voter for at least 1 year prior to appointment should send a cover letter and resume to the clerk of council's office via email at councilclerks@nridgeville.org by Wednesday, September 13th. Council will then review the applicants and appoint a replacement per the prescribed charter timeline. Again, the email address to submit resumes is councilclerks@nridgeville.org, and the deadline to apply is Wednesday, September 13th. Do any of the council members or administration have any final comments this evening?